see it right up ahead right there? It's a John Deere ride-on mower. One of the wheels is off, but it's a John Deere, man, and it's sitting right there. I have no way of getting it. Alright, it's the next day. I wanted to see if this lawnmower is still there, and it looks like it is. So I'm going to knock on the door, I think, and see if, I don't know, I just want to see the story on the thing and see if they would have any interest possibly in delivering it for a small fee, because I don't have a way to get it home, so I just want to check it out. Now, what is this? This is an AX95. Can it go into neutral, I wonder? This is off, this is flat. If it could go into neutral, I might be able to pull it. That's neutral. Well, it might roll. They didn't answer the door, so I don't know.
Yeah, the White House right here.
This is my neighbor helping me out, helping me get this thing home. I can't believe he agreed to let me do this. I told him he's got to be just as crazy as I am.
Just, yeah, as far forward as you can get it. I'm gonna take it off up there. Yeah, that's fine.
Fun times. Okay, so I was able to bring this thing home, as you just saw there. And just a look over it, we do have the one wheel that was off the thing, which we already saw. We've got a missing little pad on that pedal, just right off the bat that I can see. The belt is off and shredded. We're gonna need another belt. Hard to assess what's going on under the deck, because I would have to jack the mower up a bit more. These tires I've already looked at. They're fairly dry rotted. This one has an old repair. The bearing is still on down there, so I've still got the bearing. The beads on the tire though are kind of chewed up on the rim, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to seat back, and plus it's also pretty dry rotted, as you can see there, and it's got cracks. So if I am able to use these tires at all, it's going to probably have to be with inner tubes. Oh, the reason I had that tire set up here is because this has gone off the gas can, the little bubble. There's a hole there, so who knows how long this thing was sitting outside, and it looks like maybe a while. It came with no key, but I've already ordered a key, and these are universal, so it does work. It does not turn over, so the battery's dead. Okay, so these tires are holding air, but they are somewhat dry rotted. They're not too bad though. They are holding they're holding air really well on these. That one's flat too, and it's dry rotted. I have not checked the motor yet to see if it's free. Probably pop this cover off and see if it's free. We'll look inside it's actually not too bad in here. The inside looks clean. You know, I say clean, there's a little bit of like maybe some residue or something down there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's not bad in there. Also missing the clip for the to get the wheel back on. I need to still order a belt for sure. the seat is pretty beaten up. But yeah, like I said, overall I'm pretty encouraged. Everything does move up the mower deck. It's functional. I have not tried to move. Yeah. Okay. So the transmission is, I mean, everything looks like it's hooked up there still, so no linkages are broken. It's probably going to need some fuel line, I would imagine, especially after having the having everything, and the fuel is not shut off. It doesn't look like. I think that's in the on position. There's a shut off valve right there, and it looks like it's in the on position. So, you know, fuel probably, or water probably got into the carburetor too from that hole. Yeah, like I said, overall I'm encouraged, and we will get to work on this thing as soon as I can. Okay, first thing I want to do is get that battery off of there. Ooh, 4.5 volts. Yeah, that's pretty low. I don't know if we're gonna be able to bring this thing back or not, but we will attempt it. We got a problem. We're not, you can see here, we're not drawing any current. You know, even if I run it up to 12 volts or whatever, it's not drawing anything. It's not a bad connection either. It's just not, it's nothing, man. Stone dead. Get this battery on there. At least temporarily enough to crank it. Okay, I don't know if this thing's gonna have enough cranking amps to turn this over or start it or whatever, but here's something going. You know what? It's acting like it's trying. I think what I want to do is see if the engine's even free. We've established that it's free. Needs a battery for sure. So I think the next thing to do would be to back my car up here and put the I'm gonna jumper the terminals. Either we got a problem in the starter or there's a wiring issue. Probably a starter thing though, connections maybe to the starter. Okay, it's the next day and we're gonna get this up and off here so we can get a better look at the engine. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that hinge pin, it has to be threaded right through there. Let me get this back together. Honestly, I was expecting a lot worse than that. I was expecting it to be filled with trash and, you know, really brown and all that, but it's not. It's not bad. Okay, that's better. I feel a little bit better about that. We're gonna do some measurements and test the starter solenoid, and I've got my car battery hooked up to the terminals. We're seeing our 12 volts right there, so we know that it's getting voltage. It's starting to look like we probably have a bad solenoid. I'm going to pull the solenoid off of there and we'll get a closer look at it. Well, the connection on this thing looks really corroded, so I'm thinking maybe take it off and clean the connection, and we'll see what see how that goes. And if the plunger pulls in, then this is good. If it doesn't pull in, then we're gonna have to replace it. Okay, so it's not the solenoid. We got to look at the starter. Okay, so we're inside on the bench now. We're gonna tear apart this starter. We've already determined that the solenoid is good. I wanted to show you how this thing hooks up though. So it's got this this actuator here that drags down whenever it's electrified, and there is a little plastic piece on here that grabs onto an armature up here, and when it's electrified it pulls this armature down, which raises up the pinion, which engages with the gear on the flywheel. This will come out like so. I can already tell we could stand to clean that out a little bit. Ooh, lots of crap in there. Okay, some gentle persuasion and I was able to get this apart. I was just tapping on this base a little bit. I had springs flying at me, but it is apart now, and I can see already just how dirty this is too. See all the, I mean, look at that. See how dirty this is? That is just, that's terrible right there. That's terrible. I'd say it's no wonder why it was seized. There's just nothing there. Alright, before I do anything else, I'm just gonna fill this up with some WD-40 and just let it, let's plug that hole. Maybe it won't all leak out at once. Alright, I just want to let that kind of sit on that for a little while. Electronics cleaner. Now all these parts are much cleaner. They're not spick and span, but they are much cleaner. Now all the springs are in, and at least for the moment they are. This piece has to go underneath this, and my only concern really is this wire right here is just, you know, in the way of being able to load this. Oh, that's got it right there. Should be able to see the pinion over here. If it's gonna work, it'll pop up here and spin, and that's exactly what it's doing. Obviously I've been testing the starter and everything, which you've already seen, but also I want to go ahead and remove the carburetor because I know that's going to have to be cleaned, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, there's the carburetor off. We can take it inside, check it out, see what all needs to be done. Okay, here we are inside, and we can take a look at this thing a little closer. And inside of this carb is fairly clean. The thing stinks to high heaven, I can tell you that, because, you know, it had that old gas in it. Oh boy, oh, look at all that green. Oh, it's water. Look, water and green, slimy gas. Look at that. Wow. Ooh, boy, look at that. Look at that. Look how nasty and slimy that is. So, that's what I would call filthy. Okay, we're going to wash this carb in the ultrasonic cleaner, but before we do that, I'm going to try to get as much of the grime and crap off of it as possible. There's the float bowl and pin, both of which, again, are pretty dirty. Oh man, it's completely clogged. You're not going to be able to see it, but it's just completely clogged in there. There's just crap. And stinks. God, it stinks. Okay, so I got that thing off the bowl. The disgusting just continues with this thing. Look at that. Look at the end of it. That actuates. It actually does push in and out. So, you know, can you see it? There you go. See, that little piece does push in and out, so it actually does do something. Let's back that screw out. Alright, which has got gunk all on the tip of that. More green. Jeez. Oh, goodness gracious. Wow, look at that. I wonder how long this thing has sat. You know, it's definitely been for several years, if not many years, you know. It was made between 87 and 1990, so it's had plenty of opportunity to need service throughout the years, I'm sure, and probably has had just as many opportunities where the owner has failed to failed to give it the service that it needed. Okay, this one here has a locking screw on it. So it's like, that's some kind of factory set thing. They don't want you moving. That's not what I think it is. Maybe that just pops out. Yeah, there's no threads. Okay. Can you see those little holes in this thing? I'm gonna run this through each of these holes. I've already run it through one cycle of 10 minutes, and there was some dirt in the bottom, so I know it did some good. So I'm running through another cycle of 10 minutes. May give it a little bit of time, rinse it off, rinse all the parts again, run it through this solution one more time. It's basically just soapy, warm water. After this, I want to give it everything a nice clean rinse, so I'll use just clean water to do that at the very end. Okay, so all those other parts are currently cleaning. This is a fuel shutoff solenoid. So once the key turns off and this is no longer electrified, this will spring into the outward position that it currently is right now and stay there. So when it's electrified, this retracts and lets fuel through. So that's the purpose of that. And it's definitely got some, it's drawing amps when I put power to it. So I know that there's a continuous coil there. And you don't see this draw in, but when I push it slightly, it draws in and it stays. And then when I release it, it releases. So I think it just needs to be installed, and then it will work fine when it's installed. I could feel it. You can hear it. Listen. So it's working. That solenoid's good. Okay, we are very near the point of being able to crank this thing. Okay, the teeth are having trouble catching on the flywheel where they're supposed to. Sometimes when I click it, you'll notice the teeth right in here, they'll catch properly, but other times they don't seem to want to. See, it's the teeth are hitting. I'm gonna put some gasoline in the car, but just see if we have any fire at all. It sounds like it's gonna fire. Let's try this contact cleaner first. It slung water all out at me, but other than that, man, it was gonna fire. Check it out. I'm just using the contact cleaner to try to fire it. Oh, the fuel shutoff was off. Usually helps if when you turn the fuel valve on, that you actually have the fuel line hooked up to the carb. Okay, well, you know, live and learn, right? This is the time right here. It's gonna go. got to start it again. Oh yeah, and also that reminds me, it does need a battery, of course. And we did learn that there is no dead man switch on the seat. There's nothing on the seat. You don't even have to have a seat on it to run it, obviously. Just got to put the parking brake on, and then that has to be in neutral, and that has to be in the back position. So those are the prerequisites to being able to start the thing. But yeah, we're pretty much there, man. I'm excited. And the wheels, the tires, we got to do tires on it. So I'm excited to get it driving, but I got to wait for some more parts. All right, so check this out. I just got out of AutoZone, and I had bought a bunch of stuff for the lawnmower that I've been working on, and I was asking the dude, I was like, oh shit, I forgot my battery core. I can just bring that right back, right? And he's like, yeah, you can bring that back. And I happened to ask him, I was like, do you guys just accept recycled batteries here? I was expecting him to say, yeah, you know, yeah, we accept them and recycle them. But he was like, not only do we recycle them, but we pay you $10 a piece. And I was like, okay, is that for any battery? He was like, basically most everything that's not, you know, like a AA or a household, you know, D cell battery, that kind of stuff, any sealed lead acid batteries. So I had all these batteries sat, man, I'll put a picture up on the screen to show you what all I took in there. All these like lawnmower batteries and stuff I use for the kids' Power Wheels that were completely discharged and useless. I had them all sitting there, man. I've been waiting to recycle them. Hell, I was just going to give them away basically at some point, you know, but I've been holding on to them. Obviously I wasn't going to throw them in the landfill, but he's like, yeah, we got this AutoZone AZ. He called it AZ for AutoZone. Green recycled battery program, whatever. They give you $10 a piece for the damn thing. So basically I was like, man, I hate to trouble you, but can I just return everything I just bought and then put it, because they give you a gift card with all the money on it. So I was like, I don't know the next time I'm going to need any, you know, like $120 worth of products. So can I just return everything I just did? And he was like, sure, I don't see why not. So he did a return on everything that I bought for the lawnmower. And then I've still got like $50 left over on the card. So I basically got my battery for free. I got the oil for the oil change, grease for the bearings, the fuel line, all that stuff, basically for free. So you might be able to tell it. I went ahead and spray painted this forward deck with what they called meadow green. It's not an exact John Deere match. It's a little bit lighter, but it looks pretty good, and it's gonna at least cover up the rusty, the exposed spots, so the chassis doesn't rust anymore. And I may go ahead actually and scrape the letters off the column and tape up the logos and paint the whole thing at some point. Okay, this is going to be probably a little bit hard to see. There's some pins you have to release to get this deck off. There's one pin here. Here's a pin here for this linkage. I can go ahead and grab that one. And on top of it, there's a washer right there I can't lose. There's one on this side on this linkage right here. Okay, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. The pin, it was sticking up here, and I've pushed it down as far as it'll go, and I can barely see it right there. I'm gonna see if I can grab it with these. Pull it on out of there. Yep. All right, so there's that pin. Come out of there. Come on. Now I can grab it at least. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay. Now there's the front of the mower deck is down. I think a screwdriver in here and pry it out, and I did. Okay, like I said, not too bad. All right, while my other camera battery is charging, go ahead and drain the oil on this. You know, it's dark, but it doesn't look too bad from what I can see. Maybe a couple of little sparkles, but nothing like engine-y metal in there. Loose now. Hey, you know what? That bearing is actually really smooth without that on here. I think the only thing that was rubbing was the bottom. It might have been just the bottom of this. Broke it right off. You can see there? First bolt's broken off. Oh, there we go. It was just stuck on there. As you can see, we got a bunch of crap up under here, up under this edge. I want to see if I can clean. I'm going to try to clean as much of that out as possible. It's not even grass, it's like twine. Okay, here are the old bolts, and I found some new ones, but they are more robust than the old ones. This is going to be on the bottom of the deck, and the nut is going to be on the top of the deck. That way we don't have a repeat of this problem. That's some very, very thin paint. Okay, so I've got the blue tape off of this, and it's definitely looking a lot better. I mean, you can kind of ignore the stuff in the middle. I did not want to paint around any of that, so I just didn't do it. I had some massive scratches on the side here and covered all of that up for the most part. Got all the stuff up on the front for the most part. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's better than it was. So I think at some time in the past, somebody had tried to sharpen this thing from the other side. This is the top side of the blade. You should always sharpen the blades on the top side, not the bottom side. I think somebody had probably turned the mower on the side or something at some point and sharpened the blade from the bottom, because I'm having to take a lot off to get any kind of edge on it, so keep going. Well, like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but it's definitely better. We'll check the balance of the blade here. Not too bad. Maybe a touch more off of this side, but that's it. It's pretty darn balanced right there. Yeah, this is going to be tough, but maybe you can see what I mean here. Somebody in the past had sharpened this blade from the bottom edge, and you see a little bit of ramping at the bottom. So they made it where I had to take a shit ton off to kind of get past that, and I'm still not really past it, but it's better than it was. You know, got a couple little rock nicks, but other than that, it's not too bad. Most of the cutting is done out here on the edge, and it's not as severe on the edge. So anyway, I'm gonna roll with that. It's balanced. and it's sharpened more than it was. Okay, central spindle is back on this deck, and I did what I said I was going to do. I actually put the screw head on the bottom side and put the nut up here on the top for all of these. The bolts themselves are much thicker than the original bolts. I even had to drill it out slightly to get them on there, and you're not going to tell me that's not better, way better than it was. Okay, got the spindles all back on there, got the belt on there, ready to slide it up under the mower and attach it. There we go. Okay, can you see that now? See how that's swinging free? So we'll put the belt around that pulley, and then we'll put this back and tighten it back down. Okay, this step is going to be pretty helpful. So I've scratched this line in this pin right here to mark where the cotter pin holes are on it, because the way that this has to go in, you can't really see the holes at all. So it's just going to make things a little easier. So I'm going to do both of those. We're looking from the front now, and you can see that the belt is around that pulley. I was kind of concerned about that. It's actually easier than I thought it was going to be. All right, now let's get these pins in. Okay, there's one peg in over on this side, but you can see the bar is kind of leaning inwards, so the pin has to go on the back side in between this bar and this bar. It has to go between these two right here, back here. So it's too cockeyed to do that, and that's because the other side isn't on yet. But this is giving me an opportunity to show you something here. This is going to be way, way easier. You can see over here, the wheel's in the way. You can't really reach it with the wheel on, so we're going to go ahead and just take the wheel off. Move that little snap ring, get the wheel off, which is just, I mean, I highly recommend doing that. Now we're going to get that up in there. Okay, I still have to put both of the pins in, but I highly recommend doing it this way. Remove the wheels, the front wheels, jack it up, remove the front wheels, get those pins in like that. Much easier. Okay, so I rotated that where the hole is back here, where it's going to be easier for me to get this pin in. And see, just following that line that I put on there, should be able to just kind of feel where it is. It's right in here somewhere. There it is. And just push down, and that's it. Okay, there it is, engaged. Tension seems okay to me. You disengage it. Here's disengaged. And so there it is, engaged. Okay, so I do have some new tires coming for these front ones. This had a big dent in it. I just used some vice grips on the rim right here to try to straighten it out, and it did work okay, but yeah, see, the problem is on the rim, I believe. Yeah, it's coming out from around the rim right there. So what I think I'll do is I think I'll break this bead and try to clean the beads up on this and get this tire back on and see if it'll hold air finally. But yeah, I had to straighten up the rim on it, and it did help hold air for a little bit there. This one's still holding air, so I think this one actually will still be a workable tire. When we get the new ones in, we may run these until they completely wear out. See, so what's happening there is the pressure is getting low enough that the weakest part of the bead is finally letting loose the rest of it.
in rubber, and it wouldn't move. So we got a transmission issue or something.
Okay, late yesterday, trying to test out the drive mechanism on this thing, discovered that it would not move when I tried to put it in gear. So we're gonna see what's up with that. Inspecting the belts. The belts look to be in okay shape. There's a little bit of a something going on with this one right there. So, but other than that, the belt is taut, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work. But the belt is not wanting to move in this snake right here. See, it goes up and over this pulley, down and around the bottom of this pulley, and you can see just by pulling on this pulley is moving, and this arm is moving, right? And that pulley is also moving. This one though looks like it's completely frozen. That one's completely frozen. So I think that's our culprit right there. That pulley is frozen. And it looks like it might have taken a whack or something at some point. You see how it's misshapen right there? Maybe it took a whack, maybe it's just the bearing is completely seized. I don't know. So what I'll probably do is go ahead and order 2 new belts and check this pulley out. So let's go ahead and loosen that and get that pulley off and see for sure whether that bearing is seized or whether it's something else. Okay, so I loosened up this nut right here, and I'm able to get, by pulling the belt, I'm able to get all of the pulleys to freely move. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but the tire's actually moving too, on this side at least. The problem is, ultimately, as I pull this belt around, you'll see it. We get to a spot where we see a burned spot in the belt. And here's the problem. That burn spot right there, once that gets around and over the drive pulley right here, it's not going any further. It's going to stop right there and it's going to spin. The good news is the main transmission pulley up here is free. And you can see it moving. So, and like I said, the tire is also moving. Okay, I have failing light, so I have very, very limited time to show you this. I'm going to pull that tire off, change it out with a new one, and I'm going to try to do it on that right there. Break the bead. Broke the bottom one. And there's the top one. Okay. Okay, now that the rim is off, we're gonna clean up the bead. All right, now we'll replace the valve stem. Just like that. Also want to clean up the hole for the valve stem. Okay, here's a little setup I rigged for the valve stems to install those. Ah, there we go. That got it. I just had to get it at the right angle. Okay, now to get the tire. This is the hard part. There we go. Whew. Okay, one step closer to being finished. Man, these Canadian wildfires and all this rain is sure making for some pretty sunsets. Look at this. Okay, so I got my belt set in. So that's cool. We're gonna get those on. But before we can do anything else, the transmission is gonna have to drop out of this. There's a couple reasons why. I thought that the pulley that was frozen had freed up when I unscrewed the little belt guard, but that wasn't the case. The actual case was the whole pulley was spinning with the bearing, so the bearing was frozen to the pulley. So we're going to have to figure out why the bearing's frozen to the pulley, see if we can fix that pulley. It also had a dent in it, like somebody had tried to bang it free in the past. So we got to address that, and we can't get to it without dropping the rear end. Also, the brakes don't work. So the brakes are actually part of the rear end assembly, and in order to address that, you have to get that off anyway. So we got to address two problems, and the only solution for that is to drop the rear end. So
that? Oh, I know what that was. That was that belt tensioner. Okay.
See the bearing right here? I'm gonna see if I can bring this back to life, but I kind of doubt it. I'm gonna take it off here regardless. That side moves. Okay, so it's supplying power to the wheels independently. So it is working. I think it's working fine. Boom, if I grab this one, now the other one works. So like if one is getting stuck, it'll divert power to the other wheel. I want to spray this off. This is nasty. Look at my hands. I'm going to see if I can drive this bearing out of this pulley. Okay, so and you can see here that's not turning, and I don't think I'm going to be able to even drive that thing out of. I think and look, the pulley is just beaten to hell. So this is pretty much going to blow my weekend, this pulley being out on this thing. So this thing has to be replaced. Unfortunately, this is a $50 pulley. And you cannot substitute it with anything else. There is nothing aftermarket. I did find some good documentation on this Vinegart's lawn care website. I'll put up a screenshot here so you can see. They have a nice bunch of diagrams and stuff for these models. Their diagrams is actually for an SX95, but it is the same as the RX95. It looks the exact same parts and everything, same Tecumseh transaxle. The part number for John Deere for this thing is Alpha Mary 104020, and yeah, they want $57.99 for this. I was able to find it. I made an offer for a seller on eBay and got it shipped for $46, but that's as cheap as I was able to find this thing. Expensive little booger. That brings me to the grand total so far for this rebuild, this restoration on this mower, this free mower. All right, you ready for this? So here's the rundown. I bought a key for $3.13, hubcaps for $10.15, a snap ring to put the wheel on for $5.24. The starter was $60.41. I thought I was going to be able to send that starter back, but my rebuilt starter has since started acting up again, so I had to pull it off, and I thought to myself, hell with it, I'm not taking the starter on and off anymore. I've already done it a couple times shimming it, so I was just done with it at that point. I just put the new starter on. I'm going to bite the bullet on that one. A deck belt for $15.41. Brake pedal pad, that's that rubber piece that goes on the brake pedal, for $10.07. A gas cap for $10.59. Idler pulley, that's this guy, $46. My drive belts cost me $52.85. $12 in oil. I'm going to go ahead and count those consumables. Fuel line, $5.44. I have not put that on yet. The old fuel line is actually in decent shape, so I'm going to let that roll until it starts developing maybe cracks or leaks. It's not leaking actually as it is right now in place, so I'm not going to bother with that. But we do have some online for the future. I bought some grease for $6.49. The battery was $42.99. I spent about $20 in paint. So that's it's right at $300. I think it's $300 and like 77 cents if you total it up, something like that. Right at 300 bucks. But I did get $120 off for all those battery cores, so that brings my total down to about 180 bucks. Still way more than I wanted to spend on a free mower, but this is something that, you know, the experience is making it so that I will know how to service this thing in the future. Anything that goes wrong with it, I'm pretty much going to know it inside and out now, so I'm not going to be afraid to get up under there and repair what needs to be repaired. And I'll probably have a good idea of what's wrong with it if something does go wrong. So, you know, I look forward to hopefully keeping it for a long, long time. All right, well, one thing we actually can do is work on the brakes. This is the brake rotor right here. And there's a pad inside of this mechanism right here. So if I take these two screws off, this whole thing will come off. With the pad intact. This piece right here is, connects to the linkage to the foot pedal, and it's cam, so whenever the foot pedal's depressed, there are two little pins that are frozen solid. One here, one over there. They need to be knocked loose and then cleaned and reinserted into this right here. And the pad is probably okay. And just judging by the rotor up here, this brake has probably been frozen for quite some time. This is not metric. 10 millimeter is too big, so it's not metric. So the reason it's not metric is because this transmission was made by Tecumseh. Crafted with pride in the USA. That's the Tecumseh logo, I think. The Kawasaki stuff is all metric for the engine, but then it goes to this and it goes back to standard. These bolts are partially exposed here on the side. They're not completely shrouded, so it's not going to be a surprise if this is difficult to get off or if I break a bolt trying to get these off. Come on, baby, don't break on me. Don't do it. Don't break on me. Ah, shit. Ooh, don't break on me. Come on, baby. I'm gonna spray that before it breaks on me. Ah, man, that sucker's on there. Felt like it moved, so please don't break. Please don't break. It's gonna break. Did I get it without breaking it? No, I did not. I rounded it off. And I broke it. It's broken. So add that to the list. Okay, so here is the brake pad. Here's where the bolt goes through. You can see it's exposed all through here. And this was exposed as well, and it broke, leaving half of the screw in the body. So I'll have to extract that somehow. I hope I don't have to drill and tap it. And the brake pad is still there. That would probably last another good long while. But those pins, like I said, that push it forward, they're in here behind this block and they need to be tapped out. So we'll go ahead and tap those out. There we go. The little shim fell out so you can actually see them now. See those two pins? Okay, so there are the culprits for why the brake wasn't working. Let's spray some in that hole right there too, I might as well. So there's actually two pads on this thing. There's one that goes on the front that goes in this piece, and there's another one on the back side of this. Let's see, there's the pad. You can see how much wear was on the pad right here. You can see how it was even set up against the wheel. That's the original height of the pad probably. We're going to let that sit for a little while, let the penetrating oil try to get down in there. In the meantime, I'm going to take these parts outside, and I'll much rather use the wire wheel outside. Okay, it's going in there free now. That's looking pretty good, I have to say. Way better than it was. Okay, let's see if we can extract this stubborn screw right here. Yeah, it's not going to turn easy. Okay, so you can see there it's flat on one side. Maybe I can get some vice grips on that with the flat side. It's wanting to roll off the bottom side now. Probably could use a torch. I do not have a torch. Okay, that's about as hot as I'm going to be able to make it, I think. This damn thing is in the way. So there's the brake rotor off. This pad right here. This is the best grip I've gotten on it so far. Okay. Break loose. Break loose. Oh, I think it is. Is it breaking? It is. It's broken. It's broken loose. You f***. Oh, look at that. Look at that beautiful thing right there. That's lovely. Look at that. All right. So there we go. So what got it out? It was a combination of things. We used heat. We used impact. And we shaped the end so we could get a good grip on it. But man, whew, that was tough. But you can see what's happened. It's, you know, it's gotten, the problem is this case is aluminum and this bolt is steel, and the interaction between aluminum and steel over time is just not good. So, you know, that's one of the drawbacks of an aluminum case like that. All right, now the brakes. That pad's got a lot of meat on it. I think that pad is probably okay. I'm gonna get a little bit of fresh grease on there. Right. Okay. This is the locking nut right here, so if your brakes get soft later on, you can come in here and just tighten this up a couple turns and firm this up, and then that should firm your brakes up too. Brakes are done. It is time to get this transaxle back on. Okay, so here's the other part that I was kind of dreading. So that pulley right back there, that has a spring on it. It's attached back here, and it has this spring, which is keeping it snapped over there into place. I have a hole right up here. I'm going to try to get this screwdriver into that hole, maybe this hole or this hole, one of the two, and hold that back out of the way so I can get this transaxle back up where it belongs. Let's just get this okay, it's right there. The way I have to grab this is not good. Okay, I have an idea here. I'm going to come in from the top with a little short stubby screwdriver. There's a hole back there. I think I can get this through from the top. Okay, well, it's there. Any of y'all want to give me a hand with this? You really use a hand. You're just sitting there watching me. This side is on, and yes, there is clearance. All right. She's on there. I'm going to try to match my women's powerlifting record. Okay, we're going to get that pulley in there now. It shouldn't be too difficult. Some people online who have worked on this particular family of mowers, these models, they lean the steering wheel on a jack stand. The problem with that is jack stands are really small, and there's not enough room for error. Definitely use a concrete block instead of a jack stand if you have a concrete block. This is gonna be too hard with gloves. Can't feel what I'm doing. So there's a spacer, and then the guard. Okay, we're just gonna put that on loosely for the moment, because we have to loosen it up anyway to get the belts on. Okay, so here are our part numbers on these. The one that ends in 45 is the primary, and the one that ends in 70 is the secondary. The secondary has to go on first because it's the furthest up in there. So the secondary, first thing we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to bring this idler wheel down further than we currently have it. We got it stuck in there with that short screwdriver, but we need a longer one. Bring this down. Let me see, I don't want to stick my hands up in there with that thing. Okay, that's pretty well wedged right there. Okay, so what I've done is gone in from the rear and got it around this pulley back here. I felt a lot more at ease. There's some videos online that tell you to put your hands up in here and snake it over this way across this direction, but I snaked it around the back way instead, and I felt a lot more at ease because the pressure on this is pretty immense, and if you let go of that, it's gonna hurt. May even take a finger or two. And being a guitarist, I don't know if I want to lose any fingers today. So the secondary belt is around the top pulley, back there in the back, and then it goes around the big transmission pulley back there. We just got to get it on the transmission pulley. And it is resting on this, and when we pull this out, that's going to snap into place and put tension on it. There we go. Okay, now that is on. Come on, roll. Roll for me. Roll for me. There we go. Now then. I put this on backwards. I put the nut on the top of this pulley because I did not want to pull this back out. So the nut's on top and the bolt head is on the bottom. It should still be okay. I just got to reach up in there and get something on it. This is actually better than okay. It's better than factory, in fact. From the factory, they had the bolt coming in from the top, and they had the nut on the bottom of the transaxle, which meant that when you took the nut off the bottom, the bolt could not be taken out of the top. It would hit against the bottom of the lawnmower chassis. So you had to drop the transaxle completely out of this machine in order to change that bad pulley. In the future, you won't have to do this. You just undo the nut at the top and then take the pulley off and change it. Way better. Okay, so the steering on this hasn't been all that great up until now. There are some grease points on this. There's a grease nipple right there, or a zert nipple, whatever you want to call it. Grease point. I need to grease that. Need to grease that side as well. Put some grease here on this whole gear mechanism, and that's going to help the steering quite a bit, I believe. Alright guys, one more thing we need to do before we can call it a day on this John Deere. This piece, which is the plastic piece that goes over the pair of controls on the right hand side of the machine. We've got a piece that's broken right here, so that plastic needs to be reattached, and this plastic is broken here. Oops, just broke my soldering iron. So that is how you reinforce an epoxy repair on a piece of plastic if you don't want it to break again. Okay, I did decide to come over this and pretty much bury my repair in epoxy on the bottom. So there's a big puddle of the stuff over the top of my entire repair. So it has buried those pieces of metal under a bunch of epoxy, and it's also buried inside of the plastic. It probably would have been fine without this extra step, but that's definitely going to ensure that that never cracks on that same spot again. Now those are going to be the strongest two parts of this entire piece. We'll get it back on the mower as soon as that cures.
Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this restoration series on this circa 1987 to 1990 John Deere RX95. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. If you have, hit subscribe on this channel and we'll do more stuff like this in the future. I just hit the house and kind of scraped my fresh paint a second ago. There's a little lip right there and I kind of ran head first into it. It's no biggie. We'll fix that. Maybe sometime down the road, if I get a little bit more money to spend on silly projects, they actually make a decal kit for this. I found it on a website. I'll put it down in the description too, the website where you can get the decal kit. Also, I'll put any relevant technical information links down in the description as well. And for now, we will see y'all later.